It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the 6 films of November 11th, 2005. What do we have on the docket today? Well, we have a spin-off sequel, kind of, to Jumanji. It's based off of a book by the same author, and it's directed by Jon Favreau. But we also have, now I'm trying to remember what the next movie is. Come on, I can remember it. I'm gonna have to look, aren't I? Okay, now... I looked at the list already, and I thought I had it all in my head, but of course, no, not so much. But we have the first official Weinstein Company release with Clive Owen and Jennifer Aniston. We also have 50 Cent in his big screen debut. We also have... Man, I'm doing it again, aren't I? Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley in it. Sarah Silverman has a stand-up comedy movie, and we have Richard Gere in an Oscar bait movie. I mean, there's no way to say it, but it is an Oscar bait movie. We'll eventually get to that one in just a little bit here. I'm already wasting your time with this intro. Like, I should know what the 6 movies are we're looking at here, but let's get right to it. Let's start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is Zathura, A Space Adventure.
Ordinary day, they found it. Zathura. With a push of the button, they unleashed it. Back home, in outer space, they must keep playing it. Take your turn! I'm gonna win this thing and get us home. Yes. Zathura. It's getting hot in here. Rated PG.
So, like I said, this is sort of a sequel, but it's also kind of a spin-off of the Jumanji franchise. Like I said, it's based off the same book by the same author who made Jumanji, Chris Van Allsburg, who also did The Polar Express the year before. And in this movie, you have Josh Hutcherson and Jonah Bobo as 2 squabbling brothers, Danny and Walter Budwing, who find a mysterious board game in the basement which transports their house into outer space. Along with their older sister Lisa, played by Kristen Stewart, and an astronaut played by Dax Shepard, they try to survive the game so they can return home. Tim Robbins also plays their dad in this movie. I was not the biggest fan of the original Jumanji. I'm still not a fan of the original Jumanji, but this got better reviews than Jumanji did, but it was a box office disappointment overall. Most people did like it, though, and it's because of the fact that Jon Favreau directed. This is his first movie he directed after Elf. David Koepp is one of the screenwriters on here. He's written a lot of great movies, Spider-Man 2, for example, Schindler's List. So, there are a lot of pieces working towards the film, and the movie is good. Is it a great movie? Not really. I mean, it is cool to see this house in space in HD, because I watched this on Blu-ray for the first time, and yeah, it does look pretty nice. They do a pretty good job of putting this house in space and making space look as realistic as it can be in this situation here. Where the film kind of falls apart is with the overall story and the overall message of the movie, which feels very, very odd. And you know, Dax Shepard's character is supposed to play like a big part in like the big climax of the movie. Like there's supposed to be a big twist around him. When they get to that twist, it's just kind of like, I don't think that was a good twist and how that's supposed to and how you put that together. But the stuff that's going on before that, though, is very fun. There are a lot of fun visual ideas to the film. I mean, there are a lot of things I like about the movie in general. It's that third act where I think the movie really starts to slow down a bit. But overall, yeah, it's a good movie. Not a great movie, but I still like it better than the original Jumanji. And I don't think it's as good as the 2 Jumanji films that came after this, but it's a good movie. It's a good film that probably should have been a lot better, especially with that ending overall, but yeah, it's fine for what it is. It's another good Jon Favreau movie, but definitely not as good as some of his best movies in general. So, overall, yeah, I like it. Not one of his better films, though. So, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, which is Derailed. So in this movie, you have Clive Owen and Jennifer Aniston, who are having an extramarital affair and are assaulted and robbed by a man named Philippe LaRoche, played by Vincent Cassel, in a hotel room. When LaRoche threatens to kill Charles' family unless he pays him a ransom, Charles finds himself in the victim of a conspiracy. This is the first film produced officially by the Weinstein Company after their split with Disney and Miramax. And, you know, I'll give it this. For the first movie from their company, it's kind of interesting seeing Jennifer Aniston outside of the rom-coms that we're used to seeing her in. It's interesting to see her in a more serious role like this. But unfortunately, there's not a good movie there to really make it all worth it in the end. I mean, Clive Owen's character's already having an affair, which is already enough of a story as it is. But then they got to throw in this whole conspiracy thing here, and it's just kind of like it just gets really ridiculous very quickly. I mean, it doesn't even waste any time getting into the stupidity of itself in general here. Like, there's nothing about the movie that really is worth it in the long run. Like, it's a really stupid movie when it's all said and done. And like I said, I think there is a good movie here. There's good ideas too. I like seeing Jennifer Aniston in something that's not a typical rom-com that we used to see her in. Like, she's doing something different. Unfortunately, the film is not really giving her a whole lot to do here, and it's just kind of like, why are we even here then if you're just going to keep throwing these little twists and turns here that aren't engaging whatsoever? It's a bland film. It's a movie that makes no sense. It's going all over the place. And for a movie like this, like, you expect a lot more from it. I mean, I honestly went into this looking for a lot more from it, but unfortunately, because they kept piling on so much stuff on there, it just got really boring really fast and really pathetic really quickly. So, yeah, so that's a hard skip on Derailed, but bottom line, not a great start for the Weinstein Company's trying to make it on their own, but their films will get better. I will assure you that. They will definitely get better from this point going forward. But a couple bumps and bruises there, first of all. But with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is 50 Cent making his theatrical debut with Get Rich or Die Tryin.
You know a man. She out there making some money for me, huh? Before you judge a man.
You have a gift. You're a poet.
Look at the world.
What you got in your head now?
Through his eyes.
All kinds of images.
From director Jim Sheridan, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, Terrence Howard, Joey Bryant.
Voice don't sound the same.
It's better. It's got more pain in it.
Get Rich or Die Tryin. Rated R. November 9th.
Okay, first of all, why are you releasing this on a Wednesday in the middle of November? I mean, like, are there really people that are going to go to the movie theaters on a Wednesday and Thursday to go see this movie when you could have just put this out in theaters on Friday? I mean, this is one of those weird things that I never understood when they put these movies on a Wednesday. Like, you put movies like this on a Wednesday, so you put movies on a Wednesday because it's either a big blockbuster or you feel like you can make more money on them if you open it a couple days earlier. But there was no real demand for this movie to be put out on a Wednesday. You could have just put this out on a Friday, and it would have been fine. Second of all, I'm going to admit to something here. Back in the day when I did my review show for high school, I would make up some lies and say that, I saw a lot of movies that I didn't see. Not a lot, but some that I did reviews for, and this is definitely one of those ones where I stretched the truth a little bit here. I straight up lied, okay? I mean, yeah, I didn't see this movie when it first came out. I made a review up saying that I saw it, but you know, I didn't think anybody would really know this. And plus, I don't think that review's actually available anymore. I probably still have the script for it somewhere, but I did eventually see this movie not too long after it came out on video. So I did eventually see it, just not when it came out in theaters. So yeah, I kind of stretched the truth and basically lied on some of the movie reviews that I did back in the day. Not a lot of them, but a couple that I will bring up as we move along here. But let's get to the actual movie itself here. This is a film that contains autobiographical elements from 50 Cent's life following his character Marcus Greer, a drug dealer who turns away from his criminal life to pursue his passion of rap music. And the film shares the title of 50 Cent's 2003 album of the same name. This is essentially Paramount's answer to 8 Mile. I mean, it was literally used as a template for this particular film. And 8 Mile worked because you had a really good director in Curtis Hanson, and it showed that Eminem has a lot of potential as an actor in general. This almost gets it, almost works, but then it doesn't. Like, it's a movie that is off in a number of different places. I'll give it credit for this. 50 Cent, I think, can be a good actor. I think he shows it in this movie here. He's got a really good cast to work around with here. You got Terrence Howard, Joy Bryant, Bill Duke, Adwal Akini. I always get this name wrong. Adwale Akinyu Agbayi. I think I'm pronouncing that name right. But you got him, Omar Benson Miller, Viola Davis. There is a good cast to work with here. You got a really good director in Jim Sheridan, a good writer in Terrence Winter, who would later go on to create Boardwalk Empire, did work on The Sopranos, of course. But this is a movie that just, you could just feel that it's ripping off 8 Mile, and it's not even trying to hide it, and it really does hurt the film in the long run in general, because there are brief flashes of promise in here. The acting overall is good. The story is just basically a knockoff of 8 Mile. I mean, you could just tell this was Paramount's answer to make that movie again, and it just didn't work in the long run. And it's a shame, because the possibility was there for something good, but it just didn't really come together when this final product and overall. Like, I'm not going to say it's a bad movie, but it's definitely a missed opportunity on a number of different levels. The acting is good. The direction's fine for what it is. The script writing is decent, but you can just tell that they were just trying to knock off 8 Mile and not even trying to make it stand out on its own. And people, I think, easily saw it right away, because it was not a big hit when it came out. It made back its budget overall and did eventually gain the cult following, but nobody really remembers this movie except for just being a knockoff of 8 Mile, and not even a very good one. So, mixed bag review on that one, in my opinion, for a movie that I straight up lied to people about when I first saw it. Is when this came out, and then I did eventually see it, and yeah, I'll admit now, I don't think it really would have made much of a difference if I saw it or not, because it's pretty much what I thought it was going to be when I first saw the trailers for it back in the day. I mean, could be good, but it probably won't be. So, let's get to some actual good movies here. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one we have here, and that is Pride and Prejudice.
I cannot accept you.
Lizzie Bennet can think of 100 reasons not to get married.
He's so rich. He's ridiculous.
Headstrong, is she?
But one moment is enough
Yeah, the next dance.
to change everything.
Mr. Darcy.
From the producers of Bridget Jones's Diary,
What have you done to poor Mr. Darcy? I have no idea.
You must know. Surely you must know.
comes Jane Austen's masterpiece, Pride and Prejudice.
So this is Joe Wright's directorial debut. Joe Wright is, of course, the director who would make such movies as Hannah. He would also do movies like Pan, Torment, which he also did with Keira Knightley. He's made a lot of mixed bag. He's made a lot of movies that are good, but then there are ones that are kind of lackluster in general. Like a criminally underrated one of his is The Soloist that we'll get to with Jamie Foxx and Robert Downey Jr. But then he does stuff like Pan, like I said, and The Woman in the Window. But then he does stuff like Cyrano, and then also Darkest Hour with Gary Oldman winning the Oscar for that movie. And you see that he definitely has that ebb and flow as a director as a whole, and he shows why with this movie here. This is, like I said, based off of Jane Austen's classic novel of the same name, featuring 5 sisters from an English family of landed gentry as they deal with the issues of marriage, morality, and misconceptions. Keira Knightley stars as Elizabeth Bennet, while Matthew McFadden plays Mr. Darcy, who falls in love with her. Matthew McFadden, of course, you know him from Succession, and more recently in Deadpool and Wolverine. But as far as an adaptation of this movie goes, it's a really good adaptation, and it definitely shows Keira Knightley's strengths as an actress, and not just playing the same character from Pirates of the Caribbean. It does give her an opportunity to branch her character out in general, and it does a very good job of handling that role very well. It's a really solid film overall that does have a lot of great elements with the period piece setting. The music by Dario Malinelli is nicely done. Joe Wright's direction shows he's got a lot of potential as a director that we'll see later on down the road. It's a really, really good, well-made film. It's a film that is very entertaining. It does showcase a lot of great talent in the cast. It's a good adaptation of the story, and probably one of the better adaptations of the Jane Austen storyline in general. But yeah, not much more to say about this one, except it's a really damn good movie, and one definitely worth seeing. So definitely check out Pride and Prejudice. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is the stand-up comedy film Sarah Silverman, Jesus is Magic.
Wrote a show.
Oh, wow, cool. What's it about?
It's about Holocaust.
Wow.
Yeah, and but it's funny.
She's adorable,
I have a long swan-like neck.
bubbly, and sweet. Until she opens her mouth.
Jesus is magic, because he turned water to wine, and I think he made the Statue of Liberty disappear in the 80s.
Well, let's just call it what this really is. This is basically the pilot for the Sarah Silverman show that was on Comedy Central in the 2000s. A really funny show, by the way. But as far as this movie goes, It's all right. This is a concert film consisting of 72 minutes of clips that Silverman did from her previous stand-up show of the same name, including flashbacks and comedic sketches. And you have her addressing a number of topical issues, including religion, AIDS, the Holocaust, race, sexism, political parties, people with disabilities, homeless people, dwarves. And of course, she's got to do some original songs in here. This was around the time she was known for doing the song "I'm Fucking Matt Damon" from Jimmy Kimmel Live. But overall, this is a really funny movie. It's a funny movie that works because of Sarah Silverman. I mean, I do think she's still a very funny comedian. I mean, she still is very funny even to this very day. This is a good stand-up film. It's a movie that definitely showcases what stand-up comedy really used to be, and probably still is in general. But like, you don't usually get to see a movie like this that is not afraid to just go all out and be as offensive as you can, because the world has clearly changed in the 20 years since this movie came out. But this is still a really damn good movie, a really funny film that shows why Sarah Silverman is so funny. You know, Laura Silverman is also in here, Brian Posehn, Bob Odenkirk. A lot of really funny talent in this movie all the way through. And like I said, it's basically a precursor to the Sarah Silverman program. I mean, this is a movie that really does play up to Sarah Silverman's strengths overall, and it's just a really funny film. You know, definitely plays up to everything that makes her so funny. Is it one of the best stand-up movies ever? Not really. I think there's a lot better stand-up films in general, but if you like Sarah Silverman's comedy, this is definitely something I highly recommend checking out, because it is indeed Sarah Silverman doing what Sarah Silverman does best. So let's go ahead and move on to our last film that we have here, and that is B Season. And the Oscar goes to... certainly not this movie, that's for sure. Why not even do that? But yeah, can you tell that that's a movie that's literally trying to go for some Oscars right there? I mean, good lord, like, that should pretty much give you an indication of how I feel about this movie. But you have a wife and mother, Miriam, who begins a downward emotional spiral as her husband, played by Richard Gere, avoids their collapsing marriage by immersing himself in his 11-year-old daughter's quest to become a spelling bee champion. Yeah. As much as this movie has a good heart to it, it's literally a movie that's trying to go for some Oscars and kind of failing miserably at it. I mean, this is about as schmaltzy and as generic and as bland as you can get. This is a really lousy film in general here, and it doesn't help that not but a few months later, a far superior movie will open up called Akiva and the Bee, which is a far better movie that comes out in April of the next year in 2006, which is a much better movie in general, and was largely forgotten when it came out, but has eventually gone on to have a following, and it did lead to the leading star of that movie, Keke Palmer, becoming the superstar that she would eventually become. But yeah, as far as this movie is concerned, it's a bad movie. I mean, it's literally the literal definition of Oscar bait. Like, you have scenes in that trailer there, that's literally like, it's like that scene where Richard Gere is like happy crying, and it's just like, you could just tell that scene was meant to be like, please give us Oscars. I mean, all we want is Oscars. That's all we want from this movie, and yeah, you can't just earn Oscars like that. I mean, you can, but that just goes to show you the problems of the Academy Awards, but that's a whole other topic of discussion altogether that we will have on another day and time. But yeah, this is not a very good movie. Like I said, it's not a good film. It's a pretty bad movie. It's a lame movie. I really didn't like it a lot, so yeah, hard skip on B Season, that's for sure. And so with all that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. We'll head into pre-Thanksgiving weekend next week with 3 movies, most notably the biggest one being Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, the 4th installment of the Harry Potter series, the first one to open in November since the second film, The Chamber of Secrets. We'll take a look at that one. We'll take a look at Joaquin Phoenix and Reese Witherspoon in the Johnny Cash biopic Walk the Line from director James Mangold. And we also have Breakfast on Pluto from Neil Jordan starring Cillian Murphy in a very different role compared to his other 2 movies that he was in 2005. But we'll certainly delve into those movies all on the next episode, and that'll be up for tomorrow. But until then, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notification button so you can get updates on when we post new videos. We post here every day, and yeah, hit the like, subscribe, and notification button. And with all that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.